Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Does using powerful monsters as a DM mean you're just out to kill the player characters? I'm going to start this video by thanking our sponsor, Frog God Games. You'll find a link to Frog God Games down in the description, as well as a coupon code, so you can go check them out. They have tons of great gaming materials for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and some other games. You're going to want to go check them out and help support the channel.
All right, so today we're going to talk about red herrings and, pitting your players against things that they just don't have the ability to handle.
Yeah, the question has been asked, what do I do when the monsters are too strong for my players? How do I go about doing it? How do I address that in the game? Aside from not putting monsters that are too powerful in the game for your players to address, there's some other ways you can some things you can do if you have your heart set on running a werewolf adventure.
And this was kind of inspired by Critical Role when the characters came into the town. There's a group of wolf-like creatures, dog-like creatures, and Jester's like, this is they're werewolves. And second little party should not be fighting werewolves. So I'm like, well, I know there's things that resemble werewolves, so how would you wind up twisting, make people think that they're going up against a werewolf?
So you can have a lot of fun with this, and we'll just kind of work from the example and work out from there, and you can use it in other ways. Well, if you want to run a werewolf-like adventure, they're in a city or they're in a town. People are being murdered, right? So they begin investigating these murders. Well, it looks like an animal attack. There's slash marks, there's claw marks, but at the same time, maybe there's a footprint that doesn't quite match with the animal. A skilled ranger or druid might be like, it does very much look like a wolf print, except for the way it's angled. A bipedal creature would have made this mark.
Or you could even look at, based on the way this wound is, he suffered this wound standing up, but it's a bite mark. Well, a bite mark from a dog wouldn't be on the thing's neck and shoulder if he was standing up when he suffered the wound.
I almost envision a Strider moment, as the ranger begins describing and investigating everything that happened and how it happened, and you could kind of do something along those lines, and maybe even they find some hair on the scene of the crime as well that would come from an animal. So everything is pointing to some kind of animal attack. And then, you could have several attacks and several clues, and then make it, which would kind of line it up. So, well, something's not right. This is too smart. These attacks are too clever to be that executed by an animal, and maybe this gets players really investigating and thinking, and gets them going down the road of, oh no, this is a werewolf.
And you've got, if the players aren't doing that themselves, NPCs, let's face it, werewolves are far more common of a concept than jackal wares. So you could easily be like, oh, well, this is clearly a werewolf. Oh my God, let's go get this, let's go get that, as they're trying to deal with this threat that is beyond the capacity of your illustrious heroes.
So, you could really just start off as a murder mystery, right? And then from there, you can go in several directions. Like you said, you kind of mentioned replacing it with a different monster, where it's a weaker monster that seems similar to a werewolf. And from a distance, if there was an eyewitness, if they saw a jackal were on the scene, would they really know the difference between a werewolf and a jackal were? A gnoll, would they know the difference between a gnoll and a werewolf? Especially if it was a really savage, primitive, gnoll not wearing much clothing, like a loincloth or something.
Or, it's dark. Humans don't have good vision, especially in the fantasy world. So it's okay, well, you've got a bipedal, lupine-like creature. Well, all right, that's clearly a werewolf. There's nothing else it could be.
Or what about, you could go in a totally, different direction as well, as, what if it literally is a serial killer? He's equipped himself with special claw-like weapons, He wears, he even wears, the skin of a wolf or something like that. He's got special boots that are made up that they almost make it look like he's got paw prints. Like a DC 15 or 20 reveals it's a bipedal creature, but it's a wolf-like print. But a DC 25 would have revealed that it's actually fake.
Right.
Like that it's actually something that's been constructed with a boot or something. So you could do something like that and have fun with that. And like they're chasing down this what they believe to be a werewolf, but it's really just a dude that's kind of crazy.
So you can twist it and replace. And this is just one example. You can take many different creatures that exist out there in the D&D universe and switch them out as something else to offer up that red herring that, oh my God, you got the players who are veteran gamers who are like, we can't take this, and they're chattering and talking at the table and trying to figure things out, whereas the characters themselves, they might not know like the level of threat. They might not know what kind of combat is going to be in front of them as they proceed forward. But this is where the story is pointing. So you've got that hesitation factor at the table because the player knowledge versus the character knowledge is vastly different.
What if it really is a werewolf? Like, what are they supposed to do? Like, they can't just fight it and beat it. Well, maybe they have to come up with another plan. Maybe they can come up with like some Scooby-Doo style plan where they trap it, and capture the werewolf instead of all out combat confronting it. They have to put a plan in motion. They get someone to act as bait. They rig up a trap that's going to be sprung where, it's an iron cage. It either gets dropped on it or gets raised up around it or something like that. At the right moment. So you can have fun with that. And then from there, your next adventure might be, well, is there a way to cure this curse? Or, we have to find, or maybe we have to find a way to destroy this beast because our weapons won't harm it.
Yeah, and that enters into, well, you could quest to get essentially more powerful, or as you said, the items needed to actually do it. Oh, I need silvered weapons to actually permanently injure the were creature. All right, well, we need to go get money or go get enough silver and get the blacksmith to do this for us. That makes it, a time quest. And let's face it, you go on a quest, you get experience, you get more powerful, so you do have that factor working for you. If you wanted to go in another vein and make it simpler, okay, you find out that it is a were creature, and you do your research and find that you need the silvered weapons. Is there a benefactor who is attached to this party that you could compel? Hey, can you front this so that we can end this threat to your town?
Part of me wants to do it where it happens in a town or a city. It happens for a little bit, then it stops. It just goes away. And the players go somewhere else. And it happens again. And like do this like 3-4 times. Until the players are like, wait a minute, one of you guys is a werewolf. I freaking know it.
That is an awesome way to go about doing it, pointing the suspicions on the party.
Well, yeah. Well, whether it's from an outside source or so that maybe they start wondering if one of their own is the one that is doing this or is changing or something.
This could be a great thing to do if you've got somebody whose character is inconsistent, with showing up at the table.
Oh, they just vanish.
It's like, oh, well, Bob's not here this time. Oh, well, he went off on his own quest. Oh, okay, well, this happens. And all right, you guys start the next session, and it's like, there's been murder in town. Apparently murder in town every time Bob's away. Oh, man, what the flip?
Just see if the players start getting the correlation or not. So you can do things like that. And also, too, you could even just end the game after several murders happen and there's basically a manhunt goes out, a search goes out. Maybe it just stops on its own just because the werewolf that's doing it doesn't want to draw too much attention or doesn't want to get caught anyway. So he stops for a while, moves on, something of that nature. And then, the players might hear rumors of it happening somewhere else, and maybe they'll want to go and solve it. Maybe they'll be able to get stronger to do it. Maybe they'll go on adventures and quests to get the information they need to put this creature down. And you can use this for different monsters as well. Anytime there's a monster that you want to interject early into the game, almost like foreshadowing, with the idea that later on that the party is going to have to confront it and do something about this threat.
So, what do you guys think? What's your thoughts on red herrings and the monster's too powerful? Got any cool stories you want to share? Down in the description below, you continue the conversation. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Go head on over to Frog God Games and check out their store.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.